You are listening to Wicked Psychotherapists, a podcast where two psychotherapists show you that taking care of and learning about mental health doesn't have to be wicked hard.
Hey guys, this is Tanya.
Hey, this is Erin, and welcome to Wicked Psychotherapists.
Yeah, so today we are going to be talking about the upcoming holiday season. We celebrate Christmas, so we'll be focusing on Christmas, but just kind of some traditions, some memories, and maybe some obstacles, difficulties that we experience, some of our clients experience around this time of year. So we'll kind of jump into that. But, before we kind of get to that, I did want to point out that if you are not seeing a video clip of this, because I know we are mostly audio, I just want to point out that Erin has this amazing Christmas tree t-shirt. She went all out and she has her Santa mug, which is awesome. It's a mug of Santa in a mug. So
and it's chopped up Santa. I'm not drinking Santa. That's a different show.
That's something else. Yeah, but I just wanted to point that out, and because you came decked out properly, whereas
You have a green, she's very Christmas green sweater.
Oh, yeah. I did do the green Christmas sweater. I have to admit that was not intentional. That was just by a happy accident. But I actually have my witch's hat mug, because at the time of filming this, it is technically around Halloween. And I still have my Halloween background. So that's where, if you're watching the video, that's where the discrepancy will come in.
It's always Halloween with Wicked Psychotherapists.
Yes, exactly. I love that. It's always Halloween when you're a therapist. That should be a quote.
Yeah. That'll be our quote.
Yes. Spookies, the spooky season. Yeah, for sure. But we are getting into the holiday season around that time in December. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And just kind of having a conversation around our own traditions, things that, memories that we have, and maybe some, not so good associations with this time of year, and also talking about maybe some patterns that we see with some of our clients. Mm-hmm. So let's start out with some of the, kind of memories or things we remember from around Christmas time growing up. Do you have any particular memories of things or, kind of special traditions you did with your family?
I remember my mom was really big on doing the Christmas decorating of the tree on Christmas Eve. So she would do some of it all before. And then on Christmas Eve, she liked to do things like the angel and some of the other stuff. So that was always a big thing. And I know I mentioned to you, because you're from Massachusetts, we used to always go to La Salette. I think it's in Attleboro, Mass. I'm pretty sure it's Attleboro. And we would do that every year, like around Christmas. And it's run by nuns or owned by, it's like this. But I just remember going through the whole thing. It's usually like super cold and you get hot chocolate at the end by nuns give you hot chocolate.
Nuns come out and just hand you a warm drink.
Yeah, they do. It's very nice because but I'm not really selling it. So Lost Light probably was like, I did not really sell it, but it's really beautiful. There's so many lights. It's like 1,000 lights, probably more than that now, but like lights of like angels and Christmas trees and Santa. But it's really pretty, and Christmas music, and you just walk around this like lake thing, and it's probably not as big as I remember it because I was a kid. Everything seems a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems really. So it's like an outdoor kind of like light display.
Yeah, it's an outdoor display run by this religious Catholic in Attleboro, Mass. And I know the fact was nuns did give you hot chocolate. True story.
Well, that's a really good, memory, because it's like you're freezing. You're probably like, oh, this is pretty and everything, but like I really want something warm and hot chocolate,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. And then all the years of going to Catholic school for me in elementary school, it was kind of nice to have them do something nice for me.
Yep. I could imagine that.
Yeah.
I never went to Catholic school, but I've heard that's the consensus. Yeah.
Yeah. We could do an episode of that, just my torture, first grade and so on.
We could definitely
Yeah.
talk about that. I
Not
wouldn't have much to add other than anecdotes I've heard from
Yeah.
other people.
Yeah, I did not. Thankfully, I did not go as long as my mom did. But yeah, that's a good one. That's a good memory. Is like going there and
That
the
sounds
trees, and then of course driving around, looking at lights as a kid.
Yeah.
That was always fun. And my dad would always put up like the same big humongous bulbs that they had in like the 80s and 90s, like the big, like that's all people did is like the big colored bulbs, which I really like the colored bulbs. I know I appreciate the white. I think they're really beautiful. And that's what we, done a lot, my husband and I, but I really like, there's something about the colored lights.
Yeah. It's very nostalgic, I think. Yeah.
What about you? Do you have any like core memories, like when you think of Christmas or this time of year?
I do. Yeah. I think, on the good side, there's definitely, I think, my family, my mom would get a real Christmas tree, which was when I look back now, I realize like that must have been really expensive. It was really hard to, we were pretty poor, and so it was like I'm surprised we were able to get like an actual outdoor Christmas tree. And I just remember like the smell of it, like I really liked, all the pine needles, like I love that. And, decorating the tree, it was like the same ornaments every year. And even though I would kind of get sick of them, it was like it's a nice memory now looking back on like, oh, because we never like got new ones. It was just, really old ones. I don't think there was like the availability that there is now of all the ornaments, so you kind of kept them for a long time. And I do remember we didn't really do anything in terms of like going out to a place, but I do remember a really nice memory was going to my mother's house, my meme, which is a French Canadian way of saying grandmother. My meme's house for Christmas Eve when we were kids, and I loved her like Christmas setup. She would always have the best decorations. She'd have like new additions that I would love to look for. She would also have this moving Santa, like this like walking Santa that would kind of like ring its bell and then it would kind of like walk a little bit. It was like a mini Santa.
Yeah, I remember seeing those.
I loved that. And it was just like her house was always just had the like, I don't know, classiest kind of decorations. And even though I was like very shy and scared over there and like I never really talked to anyone, I loved that. And at the end of the night, she would always give us, usually she'd give us like a Christmas gift, for the most part when we were younger, but kind of as we got older, she would always give out like an Andes mints box or whatever, like, and it would be a different flavor, like kind of, depending on what you got. And like sometimes there was like the orange Andes mints or like just the classic like mint ones. And I loved those. And I just was always so excited for that. So I don't know. I like that. It was a nice memory. And then knowing that, when we would leave, we would go, she had like, was on a cul-de-sac. We'd drive around and then we'd like kind of honk and, she'd be out there and she'd wave to us. And it was just a really nice memory that I had for, probably the first like 10 years of my life. It was really nice.
Sounds like she was very safe and really made Christmas like kind of fun and special for you.
Yeah, I definitely felt like, there was something there, even though like I didn't, I don't know, I guess I still wasn't really, I didn't really talk to people too much there, but it always kind of held like a special place that I don't know if anybody else knew about. I really loved that. And when she passed when I was in my early 20s, I didn't realize how much that meant to me like until that point, but it was really nice. And there was also just a lot of, my mom always tried, like she would kind of max out her credit cards, which I, is looking back now, I realize how tough that was, but I think she always wanted to make it a good Christmas for us. I think my dad got kind of upset about that, like until, when he was living with us. But she did really try, and because probably we didn't really get much outside of that, so she was like really trying to give us stuff. So it was always kind of exciting, when I was younger, so yeah, I think those were some really, great core memories, that I hold and I really do like and have like positive associations with, And speaking of which, like now at this time, holidays may be a little different, Christmas may look a little different. What do you and your family like to do now around this time? What's the Christmas like for you guys now?
Well, we do like Christmas, like the week of Christmas, or we usually try to find Santa somewhere because even though the kids are getting older, I still like pictures and, it's still nice. And we go to usually Christmas Eve, we drive around and look at lights. So I have that tradition. I think I kept that from my mom because she was really into looking at the lights and driving around. And even though we're in Florida, I make hot cocoa and then
it's nice.
Probably I'll be sweating, but we'll put the AC. Put the AC
I think
on.
Isn't there like iced hot cocoa or something now? Like,
oh, I've never heard of that. No,
I think Dunkin' Donuts did that, but I don't know. I don't know if they still do it. That might be something. I don't know if they do it anymore, but I remember hearing about that and I was like, that would be a good idea if you're in Florida.
That's a good idea. Maybe I should do that. Just put chocolate milk and put whipped cream on top of it. I don't know. But so we do that. So we'll drive around, look at lights, and then there's a place near us that's really cool. It has like all the trees and like it has like tons of trees all decorated and there's piped in music. So we'll do that usually around Christmas Eve or something. And then my dad will probably come over for Christmas lunch or dinner or something. My family's all scattered or a lot of them are in New York or, up north and other places. So it's just us here in Florida. And we always watch Christmas movies. We love Elf. We're big Elf fans in this house.
I was going to ask, is there a favorite? But I love Elf too.
Yeah. It's funny. I used to be so into the Christmas Story and I still like it, but I don't know. Elf is my jam. And also I also do love to be depressed at Christmas. I love what is that? The one with Jimmy Stewart.
It's a Beautiful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah.
I always have to watch that. Even if I'm just watching, I usually watch it by myself. I just love that movie.
Well, that has an uplifting message at the end, so that's definitely, kind of an uplifting one at the end. At first it's kind of sinks you down, but
yeah, it's like, oh, this is tough. But then it's like, but every time it gets you, it's just really, that's a good one. What about you? Do you have any traditions for Christmas Eve or Christmas or?
Yeah, it's mostly with it is with my husband's family. Like, I pretty much, they actually are very strong and, kind of just being together and eating food and hanging out, which I love. So my mother-in-law, she will usually host Christmas Eve and will make just a ton of food and everybody brings over food too. So there's always leftover food. And then we, have that and we have their homemade wine and just, loud Portuguese people, talking. And it's actually just really nice, actually. They all are, very close and nice family to be around. So, I really enjoy that. And then on Christmas Day, it's the same thing, but it's at very specific times. The past few years, it's been at my mother-in-law's house as well. Like she's hosted kind of twice, or, it'll be at like one of his aunt's houses or cousins. It's just the past couple of years has been a little tough. But yeah, it's really nice because, we don't really do gifts all that much. And I actually really love that because there's not like this pressure. It's just about being together and eating. And, that's really, that feels good. So personally, my husband is not a Christmas fan. He kind of thinks like, oh, this is like all about presents and stuff. I try to tell him like, I really like the going to see lights. I like to go see Bright Nights, which is in Springfield, Mass. It's just like an outdoor light display that you can drive through.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it's really cool. I like to do that and also drive around with the lights. Like these are just things I think are nice to do, and my husband's not really into it, but he'll go with me. And I think he kind of has been seeing like it's, you can still enjoy points about Christmas and it doesn't have to be about gift giving or anything like that. And, and I do like to watch movies. Like I kind of rotate them, but I do have to say one of my favorites is Christmas Vacation, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase. And I do really love that one. I love Elf too. And I kind of have to, It's a Wonderful Life. I have to vary sometimes because of
Yeah.
the
It's
level of
heavy.
depression.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be heavy at first. So, but I really do love those three
Yeah.
movies, and try to look for like other ones. And sometimes as a, an ode to our Hallmark
Yes. Oh,
movies,
yes.
I will find one of those that I do kind of just like to have on, just for
Mhm.
the ambiance of it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Predictability.
it just kind of, and it's like, there's, like we talked about, the formula and the
Mhm.
setting and everything. It just feels nice, to have Danica or Candace in your living room, it's going to be one of them or somebody that's kind of close to them or something. But yeah, and I actually really enjoy Christmas with my
Yeah,
in-laws. I
that
really,
sounds
really
really
like
nice.
it.
That actually sounds perfect. And I like how you describe, that Christmas, it doesn't mean that's commercial just because you're looking at lights. What I like about looking at lights and looking at people's houses, the same like with Halloween and everything, it's just that strangers put so much care into
Yeah.
doing they're outside of their house because they know it's going to give pleasure to other people they may or may not know. So
Yeah.
I just love that about people.
I do too. I really like that. And I like that it does give joy, and it's, it's a dark season, right? We're going into shorter days and longer nights, and having brightness, having the tradition of bringing a tree in and lighting it up is very much based on like a pagan holiday of, celebrating and saying, hey, we need more light, and to kind of bring about more lightness. And
Right.
I really like that. I like that there is that idea behind it. I like bringing, decorating my own tree and having, all these kind of, I like to add in a new ornament every year that I have my husband, pick out. And I'm like, okay, what about this year? Was it a trip that we took, or was it, when we got our dog Lucy? Of course, I got a look-alike Lucy ornament and, said Lucy on it and got it personalized. Each
Oh,
year we kind of, that's something I've kind of started for ourselves that I think
that's
is
neat.
really nice.
And that's probably so important for you too, because you mentioned that as a kid, you didn't get a lot of like, it was like, okay, here's the same yellow ball, putting this up. Here's my handprint
Yeah.
that I made. Yeah.
There
And
wasn't really like that kind of personalization. I think that's kind of the times, like in the
Mhm.
80s, that just, there's more of a market for that now,
Oh, yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah. We had the same, 5 or 6 boxes every year. And I've mentioned the handprint because I know it's still the same.
Mhm.
Even as we became teenagers and older, my mom still, really, mom, we still had to put that up on tree. But we still had to put like the paper tree. And we had a plastic tree because my mom had asthma and she was allergic to, or so she
Oh,
said she was allergic to trees. Who knows if she was or she just didn't like the pine cones. But
she's like, this is too much of a mess. I'm just going to say I'm
yeah,
allergic.
yeah, let's just put this together. And then, so we would always have to like put, stick it in the, like whatever it is, tree thing. What is it called?
Oh, the
Yeah.
stand thing.
Yeah. Whatever,
Yeah.
like the bristles, or my brain was just shutting off thinking about like having to fluff the tree. Like we all were in charge of like, not that type
Who's
of
to fluff
fluffer.
this year?
Yeah. Not. Yeah, it was a weird because it was so dusty, and I used to always wonder like, how's it's not affecting her? Because it was like very like it was from in the attic or the garage or somewhere basement. No, we had it in the basement, and it was always like so gross and dusty, like when you first take it out. Because
Yeah, it's got that like musty smell. I'm surprised that wasn't.
yeah,
Yeah,
and every year
like
it's like,
wasn't.
oh, yeah, it's like maybe red and red, they orange and orange. I did not like that tradition.
Yeah, it's very. Yeah, it kind of felt like too like structured, sort of, and
Yeah,
not really festive.
yeah, having all our light exposure for the year.
Yeah, exactly. You got in enough for a lifetime supply. Yeah, the 80s really, they were wild times. Wild
Hmm.
times. But yeah, it's definitely, it's nice to, be able to look back and to say, okay, these are things that I didn't really maybe like, or things that I'd like to change, for myself, and
Hmm.
to, you know, have this instead. Right now, I do wish my husband did enjoy Christmas a little more, because my dad growing up was a huge Grinch. Like, he
Yeah.
literally was just like, he would say bah humbug. Like, he literally would, and would be like, ugh, he just had nothing to do with it, kind of
Hmm.
thing. Um, and I mean, I think he was only like, I only knew him living with us till I was about 7 or so, but
Okay.
he just stayed with that kind of, down on Christmas kind of feel. And I really, for me, it was never about the presents. It was never really like, I just liked that everything seemed a little bit better
Yeah.
that time.
It's more magical. I mean, that's what I
Yeah.
feel. And I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it's Santa. I don't know if it's the lights. I don't know what it is, but there's just something
It's probably all of it.
Yeah, it's just something very magical. And I just love it. Of course, I mean, I'm not loving that you go to a store right now, there's Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas outplayed. But I do love the Christmas area season, whatever you want to call it, because of the light. Because most people seem a little, or I say most, unless you're like at a store or driving somewhere, then you're like, well, maybe not. But
road rage, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
road rage and too many people like pushing past, elbowing past. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I can definitely get kind of, it's very magical until, there's too many times Mariah Carey has sang, her song. She's come out of the woodworks and she's done, Thawed, and she's come out and said, okay, now I need to sing this song and haunt everybody. But I still think it's a great time. I still really like just seeing the lights and just kind of feeling like, okay, I know what's going to happen and this is going to be nice and pleasant. I don't know. And there's going to be, family time that we just eat and have some good wine. Like nothing bad there,
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also like
in my in-laws family. Yeah, in my in-laws.
I was pausing and like, well, if you're at my house growing up, it could be a problem. But
that's a good point, though. I mean, that's a good segue into, sometimes there were some not so great memories. So are there some of those that you have that, we can, if you want to share, or you just, no, sometimes there just weren't.
They're not listening. Yeah. And I think as we're talking, I was thinking maybe the reason why I also like Christmas so much is because it felt safe and felt comfortable for the most part.
Yeah.
Where maybe other other days may not have, but of course there was still the unpredictability of who may get too drunk or what may happen on a certain holiday. Because maybe, especially like when there's big gatherings or any type of gatherings, was usually like, maybe my mom was drinking a little bit more, or my father, or maybe, it's just, so that as a kid and a teen, and it's even an adult going back, it's not fun. And you're not sure like, okay, well, what is going to happen, or how do I react, or, do I react, or.
Yeah. Kind of the uncertainty of it and the knowing that there's something not good there, but you don't know which way it's going to go.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, you see that a lot, like written, you see like different memes of different people, people say that. And like around the holidays, it can be it's really exciting and really fun, but it also can be really scary going back home, because a lot of times you feel like, oh, great. Am I that 13-year-old kid again? Am I 16 again? Why do I feel so anxious, or why am I getting so angry as soon as I'm pulling up into the driveway? I know I feel that a lot until I started to really process, okay, I'm not 16 or I'm not 15. I'm a grown up, and I don't have to be, afraid, or I don't have to feel like they, control me, or if there's a situation I'm not comfortable with, I'm allowed to leave.
Right. And I can go to a different part of my life that I've created that does feel good and that is safe. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really, I do have to say, I think the holidays were kind of a nice space, like kind of a suspension away from some of the day-to-day stuff. But yeah, I think I did have kind of worries with my dad. My dad drank a lot. My mom wasn't, that wasn't really the worry, but it was more just kind of like the fighting and, would somebody get mad at somebody, and would there be something, or will the cops be called on Christmas, and this is embarrassing, and but I as I got older, a big thing that I worried about, and this is really strange, I think, but I just kind of remembered this when you were saying about, kind of not feeling safe, is that there was a difficulty, I would say, with my mom, that she was kind of very personally took took gifts very personally. And so it was kind of in being able to get her kind of the perfect gift, and her kind of making a comparison. Like if I just remember one Christmas, my sister and I had gotten, we went in and got my dad a sweater, and we didn't often get my dad anything because, like I said, he doesn't like Christmas, but we were both up from Florida. I was probably in my 20s or so. And so we got him a sweater. We pitched in, got him like a nice sweater. And then, for my mom, I think we each got something separate, for her, because we just happened to see the sweater and we're like, oh, that fits our father or something. And, it's not like I had a ton of money. Hello, social services, mental health, community mental health. Like, we've talked about this before, but, I would stress over what to get my mom because the gift I gave her, it was like a jewelry box, that year. And I never knew what to get her because it was hard to know what she liked or not. It still is. And she was kind of insulted that we got my dad a sweater, and she perceived that as being better than the gift I got her. I don't know what my sister got her individually, but I just remember that was kind of a thing. And I just remember feeling like, is this really important? And I actually stressed over a lot to get her something, and it felt kind of not good enough.
Yeah, it feels like there was probably a lot of jealousy too of your mom when you and your sister getting your dad a present. Probably was,
Yeah, it kind of felt like that, which was strange because I didn't sense that ever. Like they just kind of never interacted. They couldn't interact because they would fight at that point. They were very, very much separated. They never technically divorced because they didn't have the money for it, but they were not together. They were like, hadn't been together. And it was a very odd thing. And I think that was something that always stressed me out, was being able to, realize that my mom, and who else to get for, like, if I don't see a sister, do I get her something?
Yeah.
Are they going to be insulted? There's always a lot of dynamics there, and
I struggle with that too. Like not knowing what is expected or what we're supposed to do. And
yeah.
I think my mom was very similar to yours. Like my mom would start shopping in October and would do on layaway and spend money she didn't have. And it was very much, I think, okay, well, I can't do this for you throughout the year. And the same thing, like even sometimes receiving presents from her, I'd be like, as a teen, I was like, do you know me? But then I tried, but as a kid, of course, it was like, Barbie Dream House and everything, like everything you could think of. But yeah, I do remember like even as a gift for her, I lived with her and it was really hard to know, what do I get her? Like, say, do I get her a sweater? Do I get her cigarettes? No, just kidding. I'm like, like, seriously, like what do I get her? And it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes when you know the person, but you don't. And I think that also happens with people in different family units. And that shows up a lot at Christmas time because there is sometimes this expectation of you are expected to buy stuff for all these people you may not see or talk to, but they're related to you. They have your same last name you grew up with. There's, commercials that say that you have these expectations that you're supposed to do this. And it's difficult.
Yeah, for sure. I think it can be that was something that I'm just, realizing how much of, even like as a young child, with like birthdays and stuff, there was kind of this expectation, with my mom to get these gifts. And it's strange because I would hear my friends talking about their parents and they would be like, oh, my mom's really into, I don't know, horses or something. So I'm going to get her this horse thing. And I would think, I don't have anything. Like, I don't know that my mom is really into anything. Like, the only things I knew about her were, I don't know, the things that she struggled with. And so I would try to ask her questions and she would say things like, she went to Woodstock and things like that. And she would mention some things about liking the Beatles or the Monkees, like when she was, younger. And so I would be like, okay, those are things I guess that she likes, or maybe she would like, but it was definitely met with like, oh, I like these. I liked them a long time ago. And it was kind of like, it was like a measure of like, you don't know me. But the thing is that side was never there. So
Yeah,
how would I know?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I knew my mom, like of the obsession of Kennedy, which we'll talk about. And and like she like owls and bells, and it is weird. Like you don't really like it. I don't know. It's different. It's yeah, it is weird. It's
Yeah, and that may just be like parenting around that time. I don't know.
It could be because it feels like, well, even my dad, I knew he'd like to sail. And, at that time, it's like he liked to run and exercise and crazy, but it is, yeah, maybe parents just had that separation at that day. It might have been,
yeah,
or maybe it wasn't as important to share your personal life with your kid. But then again, this could be another episode. I know my mom shared too much at times.
Right.
It's like,
right.
It's like,
but yeah, not in the realm of like, things that she enjoys or like who she is as a person. Instead, it was something else.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that kind of speaks to the dysfunction of some things that, people may face around Christmas, right? That there's maybe these, past patterns of, associations with like, I can never get the right gift. And that kind of leads to, well, I don't really know this person on this level. And when you're the kid, you can feel like, because of all the dynamics and everything, like, I had a lot of domestic violence and things and a lot of struggles financially, so I don't know that my mom really had the space for that. I also think she struggles with that and has struggled with that with other people all throughout her life. I can see that now.
Yeah.
But it was really hard for me because, I never talked to her about this because I think she maybe would have just denied it. And I think she would deny it now. That tends to be kind of the mode of anything. But it was really hurtful and really stressful, I think. Even as a young kid, I remember feeling like I had to get the perfect gift. And I mean, I didn't have any money as a kid. So
as a kid, you had you're reliant on if the teacher, hopefully you have a good teacher, is doing the arts and crafts that a couple of weeks before Christmas or something, or I don't know, you have a older someone that's going to take you to job lot, or something to get you something cheap.
Yeah.
To get.
I just always saved my money from like birthday money if I got like some birthday money or like something so I could just and I think my mother gave me like, maybe like $5 at like that Christmas fair, the like, kind of thing. But like, I mean, they were all little cheap trinket things and
what a good kid you were. Just seriously, just thinking of it, saving your Christmas money and everything. I mean, like that's so thoughtful.
I think that was more kind of the pressure of what I felt, like it felt like I had to do that, kind of thing. But I think that is why I'm very, very thoughtful about birthdays and I think I've kind of gotten out of that because I felt like I always had to. It was a very odd dynamic that I know if my mom is listening, she would probably deny, but it was absolutely there for me. And I know talking to some of my sisters, they felt that too. I'm not trying to lay any blame here or say anything negative. That was my experience with it, but, I mean, there were good things like I talked about before, but I think that's the kind of complicated thing is that there can be, some really great memories and maybe you want to take them from the past, and kind of either, alter them or make them yours in the present. And then the things that you don't want to relive. Like I am so glad that gifts are not really a part of this holiday anymore. It took me a long time to get away from that.
And now you can do gifts more organic. Like when you see, like Tanya sent me a really great James Spader mug just for the heck of it. And because I'm insane, but I just I shared I was like obsessed with Blacklist for a while. And then I just got down this James Spader rabbit hole. And so
he's pretty awesome.
He's pretty awesome. I would love to have a drink with him. But
I would too.
But so James Spader, since you're listening, but but just out of the blue, I got this awesome, so thoughtful mug from Tanya, and it just meant so much to me. And it wasn't Christmas, it wasn't my birthday, it was just the heck of it, and it just meant so much to me. You're a good gift giver.
Oh, thanks. Well, you are too. You would send me, cards and personalized cards and. Your daughter sent me that bracelet about
Wicked.
the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that was amazing. Yeah. So I love that. I love when it can feel organic and thoughtful like that, and not to say that gift giving around those holidays and stuff can't be at all.
Mhm.
It's just I just have like an association with the pressure of it and the kind of hurtfulness of it.
Yeah.
So I think I tend to kind of just go like kind
Yeah.
of when I really do think of that kind of means more to me.
Mhm.
In terms of giving, like that's kind of the thing that I
Yeah.
relate to. I guess. I don't think I really pieced that all together until just right now when I said that. So, yeah, I think that kind of brings us to another point, right? Like sometimes you're kind of always processing some of these past things
Yeah.
and how they affect you and how around Christmas, around the holidays, it can feel like all these things, maybe haunt you, but you can take the good and you can put away the bad, and kind of not to say that it's not there, but to say I don't need to have that involved
Mhm.
in my celebration of this,
Yeah.
and I can make new memories.
Yeah, like different holidays or anything. I just don't serve alcohol just because people want to bring stuff they can, but I'm not going to have it. Not that I'm a recovering alcoholic or, but I just I don't want the cops called because I have had that family member at different holidays in the past growing up or different things. And drinking at some holiday functions makes me feel uneasy because it's like, oh gosh, I don't want to have somebody be like that, even though I'm probably not surrounded by people. But
Right. It's just something you've kind of taken from the
yeah,
past. It just feels good to have
yeah,
that
to have that control.
limit kind of set there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It is weird
Yeah.
how different things, because a lot of, and that also is a lot of times people at different holidays, especially Christmas and Thanksgiving, they feel, oh, great, I'm going to see my uncle so-and-so. He's going to be drunk, or I'm going to see this person. And I don't know, what if I say the wrong thing? I'm sure we hear
Right.
that a lot, different scenarios, maybe with clients. And
Mhm.
it does happen a lot. Christmas can be different.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of why we're, kind of using our own personal examples. We're kind of saying, you know, this is a time and a lot of times we do talk about this in therapy, but just to kind of, get the message out there that you have to
Yes.
do what's best for you, as an adult. You more than likely, I mean, like I know there's probably some exceptions to this, but you
Yeah.
more than likely have the choice now to be able to visit these family members or these people in your life. And you can either, if you decide to do that, you can limit the time, you can have a plan B kind of set in there. You can choose to limit the time interacting with particular members. If you're hosting, you can choose not to invite particular
Mhm.
people.
Yeah, isn't that awesome? You don't have to.
Yeah,
You don't have to have everybody. And you also, guess what? You could choose not to do anything. You could
right,
choose to go on vacation for the
right.
holiday. You don't have to recreate your past trauma every year.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's it. That's a really good point because I think there was a point personally where I realized, oh, I don't necessarily have to spend time with my side of the family. I can just have this because this
Yeah.
feels good and the other part
Yeah.
feels like somebody's going to be insulted that I didn't see them or I didn't give them a gift or they're somebody's going to act out or, whatever it is. And that feels good. And nobody in
Yeah.
my family really does anything. So on
Yeah.
my side.
Yeah. And it sounds like your
So
in-laws I just love the tradition. It sounds very, very food focused. And that's really
yeah,
nice.
that's nice. It is really nice for me. Like I look forward to it. Like I actually have like oh my God, like I think, years ago I would have thought interacting, having to be at a dinner with a family and interacting like this, like it felt really stressful and really like I don't want to do this, but it's a good time and it works well with my in-laws. And
Mhm.
again, I'm not trying to throw shade on my own family. It's just that I mean, I think we can all agree, if any of you are listening, those were not good times.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it just
And
wasn't. So it
some
didn't work
family
out.
members, I know in my own family unit, like sometimes people romanticize what happened and sometimes
Mm,
forget. And
for
sometimes people
sure.
do remember. And it is difficult when, people recreate the past. So, yes, so I've had some shade thrown at me by some family at first when I was like, nope, I'm not coming for any holiday. like
Mm-hmm.
when my mom was still alive and when they still did it. And then when my sister started to become the host, I was like, nope, this is not going to happen. And it did really upset people. And I'm sure people thought I was a big jerk, but I needed to have that separation and I needed to have that physical distance. And also I needed to have that. I needed to take care of my mental health and my mental, and that meant creating new tradition.
Right. Right. And you probably don't want to, expose your kids to that, if you were to bring them, you probably didn't want them to, to have them experience that or the possibility of that and to have those feelings around it. But it's a lot, having to say no to things or choosing to say, I'm not going to be responsible for my family getting together, and having this because it feels like I'm expected to do this or to participate in this. I'm actually just, you know, going to do my own thing with my husband's family, and before that, maybe just kind of do my own thing, you know. Um, but and yeah, exactly. It's like you have to you may be villainized for it. You may. I did have one of my sisters that I'm estranged from for a lot of reasons, say that, it was crazy that I was so selfish that I spent time with my in-laws and I didn't bother with my own family when, I mean, there was nothing, there were no events being held, and the few that were, I went to. And so yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I just feel like it's just better this way. But you're going to face opposition. People are going to say you're selfish or you're this, you're that, make you feel bad, but I mean, you're going to feel that way anyways if you go. So it's kind of like which one is better for you, and which one do you want to be able to have the choice to have that. So that's what we're trying to just kind of, that's why we're discussing it, because holidays can be complicated, family histories are complicated. Even when there's great times, like we mentioned some great memories, but you still have to, in the end, as an adult, do what you need to do. If you choose to celebrate, maybe you decide this time of year is just, December, and that's that, and that works for you. That's totally fine. And just saying, I don't even want to participate. This is not a good time for me, but whatever it is, and saying I'm giving myself permission to have this time of year as I need it to be for my own mental health, for who I am now as an adult. That was kind of, just a little glimpse into our world, but to just kind of talk about, self-care around this time of year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hope, however, if you celebrate or if you don't, that you have a great December. If you do, Merry Christmas, any other holidays that are celebrated. Of course, happy all those holidays, happy holidays to everyone.
Happy all holidays.
Happy all holidays. We focus just primarily on Christmas because that's what we celebrate. We're just talking about our own personal experiences, but whichever way, we wish you, good mental health during these holidays. So let's just to give a little plug at the end, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wicked Psychotherapists. And on Facebook, we are the Wicked Psychotherapists. And don't forget to subscribe, follow us wherever you listen to podcasts, and write us a review. It helps us out a lot. That really, really helps us. So, and don't forget, stay wicked.
And keep your mind well.
Bye, guys.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.